Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1922A, and today's date is July 21st, 2019, and the title of the episode is Watch How the Economic Plan Unfolds. Optics, that's the key. Now, before I get started, I want to talk about trading. There's never been a better time in history to trade crypto, stocks, or binary options. Trade Genius over the last 30 days has netted its traders over 40% on their money from spot-on trades. Take control of your financial future. For right now, through July for their summer specials, you can save over 50% off their bundled specials and or use promo code SUMMER for 35% off all non-bundled items. Check out TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Tell them X22 Report sent you. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we need to understand that everything that we're watching has to do with watching the show. And yes, we're watching everything play out with the deep state. But also, the show involves the economy. Everything that we're watching, where we have Trump coming out and he's criticizing the Fed, talking about trade deals, talking about, oh, NAFTA is awful. We need to rework this. We need to do this. We need to sign legislation to stop certain things from happening. All this is part of the show. Because Trump and the patriots, they know they need to control the narrative of the economy, allow the plan to move forward, and continue making everyone believe that the Federal Reserve is completely independent. It's all about optics. And we're going to be talking about that in just a moment. But first, as we know, we have two systems which are operating at the same time. We have the one system where the patriots, they're trying to continually keep it operational. And this is the central bank system. We also have the new economic system, which will be coming online very, very soon. And I do believe we're going to hear a lot more about sound money, about what is coming to allow the American people to understand what is happening. But when you look at the central bank system, it is completely imploding on itself. Now, we know the Fed, their entire plan, along with the deep state, was to raise interest rates. We know what exactly happens when you raise interest rates. We talked about this prior to 2008. The central bank knew that the entire system was doomed. So what did they do? They started to raise rates. As soon as it hit a certain point, everything started to fall apart. And what did they do? They dropped it as quickly as possible. Well, the same thing here. They were trying to raise rates. Trump and the patriots called them out on it, took control. And before we hit that point, before everything just fell apart, all of a sudden the Fed paused. And now Trump is asking them to cut rates. But when you look at the system, and we're looking at many different indicators, nothing's changed, by the way. Since 2008, the financial crisis, nothing really has changed. All the manipulation, everything is still in place. Trump is just using this against them. And if the rates stay where they are or rise, guess what? The entire system falls apart. And remember, everyone's wealth has to do with homes. A lot of people, they depend on their homes. And over many, many years, they hope that they appreciate. They go up in value. And they pay off their mortgage. They use this as a little nest egg. If your home is losing value and you're paying off your mortgage and the value of your home continually declines, you don't have a nest egg. And what's happening since the rates were rising, it kicked many first-time home buyers completely out of the market. Now, couple this with rising home prices and rising rates. First-time home buyers, they couldn't even get into the market. And this is exactly what we saw and are still seeing, because the share of first-time buyers has been on a downward trend, and it has dropped 33% since 2018, which is not a good sign. And this tells us that something has to change. Either bring down the housing, the prices of homes, or bring down the rates to a level where people can get into the market. And I do believe this is what Trump and the patriots are trying to do. Now, we need to remember that this is all about optics. Optics are very important when it comes to the economy. First of all, if you control the narrative of the economy, you can control what happens with the election, because if people do believe that the economy is doing very, very well, well, guess what? They like that, because people will look at their wallet, look at what's happening, and they'll say, I like what's happening. I want this person to stay, because I'd be very nervous for the new person coming in because I don't know what they're going to do. And Trump, he criticizes the Fed, tells the Fed to cut rates, start stimulus. Now, again, he's criticizing the Fed, trying to tell the Fed this is what we need. Now, the Fed, they just can't do this. They're not just going to, oh, Trump just said that, let's just lower the rates. It would look completely obvious. They're not independent. And the Fed needs to look independent at this point. And this is why the Fed takes their time. The Fed will push back. The Fed will say, okay, we need to analyze the situation. We need to look at the numbers. We need to see. And you know what? While we're looking, we will pause the rates right now. Now, the Fed is still not listening to Trump. It looks like the Fed is completely independent and they're making their decisions. Now, should the Fed be cutting rates at this point? It doesn't really matter, because the whole thing's built on an illusion. If they raise rates, the entire system falls apart. If they lower rates, the system just chugs along the way it is. Is it going to improve the system? No. But the Fed needs to push back because of optics. Then the Fed, for optics, will make decisions, put it off, and tell Trump, we're looking into it. And maybe we won't be doing it at all. And it looks like the Fed is doing just that. The Fed will then come out and explain why they will eventually do rate cuts. Now, Powell has already made that case. Why the Fed is going to do rate cuts. We're at that point where the Fed is pushing back, saying maybe we won't be doing it, but eventually they will say from their analysis, we're going to cut rates. Doesn't matter how much, they will end up doing it. Meanwhile, while all that's going on, Trump is going to explain how great the economy is. Remember optics. Economy is great. Trump made it great. When the Fed paused rates, the market went up. Unemployment went down. This is what Trump said to do. The Fed listened, and the economy got better. Well, if you look at the manipulated statistical numbers, yes, it did get better. So think about what Trump is doing. He's telling the Fed, listen, if you listen to me, the economy will get a lot better. I told you to stop raising rates. You did. The economy looks great. I'm telling you to cut rates, start stimulus. The economy will look even better. Trump, right now, from everyone looking at him and everything that he's saying, everything that he's saying is coming true, which means he is the driver. The Fed is the passenger. And Trump is driving the Fed where he wants. And Trump is right on schedule. He needs to continually say the economy is fantastic because of him. And if the Fed doesn't do what he says, the economy will not get even better. He tweeted out the following: economic numbers reach an all-time high, the best in our country's history. Great to be part of something so good for so many. There's a reason why he's doing this. He's creating the entire show to make people understand. And this is why he continually tweets out the statistical numbers of how the economy is doing, where he says, record number of 157 million employed, 19th record of Trump era. America created 224,000 jobs in June, 480,000 manufacturing jobs added since Trump's election. And he continually puts this out there to let people know that he is the one taking what was so bad and making it so great. And if the Fed doesn't follow, it is the Fed's fault. But the Fed is going to do exactly what Trump says. Yes, they're going to push back. Yes, they're going to say no. But eventually, they're going to do exactly what he wants them to do. Now, very interestingly, we need to go back a little bit because Q has told us that the Fed will be restructured. And when we look at the entire plan and we step back a little bit, we can see how this could happen. Now, think about what he's been doing with Powell. He continually criticizes Powell. He says, I'd like to fire Powell, but he can keep his job right now. He did this with Sessions. Again, optics. Sessions resigned. Once Trump has certain individuals in place, those individuals that believe in gold, those people that believe in sound money, restructuring can happen. Now, restructuring can happen just with a couple of people on the board. You need someone leading all of this. And I think what they're doing with all of this and using the same plan as Sessions and bringing in like Barr, I think what's happening here is they're building it up that Powell is no good. He's taking too long to listen. And eventually, I think Powell is going to resign. I don't think Trump is going to fire him, just like he never fired Sessions. I think Powell, the plan is for him to resign once we have the right individual on the board. Now, that could be Judy Shelton. She is a gold bug. She loves sound money. She doesn't like what the Fed is doing. And remember, Trump is the one who nominates the next chair of the Fed. So once he has the players on the board, now he might take the people that are on the board, or he might bring someone else in from the outside. What did he do with the Attorney General? He brought someone else in from the outside. So he might have Judy Shelton on the Fed board and many others, and then eventually have Powell resign and bring in someone who will lead the Federal Reserve into a restructuring. And they will restructure the entire Federal Reserve system. Now, how can this play out? How can this be done? Well, first of all, you're going to need a crisis. They're not just going to restructure. And this crisis will be the entire central bank system coming down. Trump is setting them up to take the blame. He'll need people in key positions to then restructure. And this will be under the United States government, where the people control the Fed, and we have people in place to restructure the whole thing. Now, will Powell resign during this crisis? Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. But you can see how all the players and how everything is being created and maneuvered so we have the ability to restructure, have the ability to bring in the new economic system, have the ability to blame it on the Fed when the entire system comes down. This is what the patriots are working on, and you're watching it play out right in front of your eyes. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.